On Tuesday, I gave a bit of a briefing update on the history of the Hare Krishna movement in the UK, and I spent some time talking about Britain's first Hare Krishna movement, 1933 to 1937. And after the short talk that I gave, I felt inspired to do something that I've not done before, and I'm not actually aware if any devotee has done it. I have come here today to Kensington in Chelsea, to locate the building that was the UK's first ever Hare Krishna temple, at 39 Drayton Gardens here in Kensington. You can see I'm in Kensington. It's quite a posh neighbourhood. This was the location of the very first Hare Krishna temple in the UK in 1933. And I'm off now to locate number 39. House number 39 was where the devotees lived. We know that the devotees from India arrived on the 22nd of April 1933. They arrived at Dover, and then a few hours later on the same day they came up to London. They stayed for 2 nights at the India YMCA before moving to Torrington Square. They moved to Torrington Square for some time, and then finally they found a landlord and a landlady who was willing to take them in. The landlord and the landlady lived at number 39 Drayton Gardens in Kensington. And it was a kind of arrangement where the devotees rented the whole house, but the landlord and the landlady lived there as well. I'm going to try and get as close to 39 Drayton Gardens as I can without, being seen to be weird, filming outside someone's house. I haven't planned ahead that I'm coming here today. This is actually quite spontaneous, and I'm trying to watch the traffic at the same time. So we know the devotees moved to 39 Drayton Gardens on the 12th of May 1933, according to a letter that Hridayabon Maharaj wrote to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. That letter is dated the 12th of May 1933. And he wrote to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur to let him know that they had found this house, this building, for renting. And in a response, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, "I do not know anybody who is more delighted than myself to hear that at last a Gaudiya Math branch has been opened in the British Isles." So I've actually just seen number 39, and I'm going to try and discreetly walk past. I'm going to try and show you, because I saw somebody looking out the window and it feels a little bit awkward. So number 39 Drayton Gardens is the house on the end there. You can see if I point to it, where's my finger? It's that house there. That's number 39 Drayton Gardens. So that was the location of the very first Hare Krishna temple in the UK. I'm going to try and get a bit closer if I can. So who was living at that temple? Hridayabon Maharaj was living there, and he would often go out and give talks. And the talks, interestingly, I think I've mentioned this before on this Facebook page, the talks were written by Professor Sanyal. So Professor Sanyal was a godbrother of his in Calcutta, a very wealthy godbrother, also known as Bhakti Sudakara Prabhu, and he was writing talks and sending them to Hridayabon Maharaj in London. So Hridayabon Maharaj was living here at number 39 Drayton Gardens. Here we go. It's this house behind me. That one there, 39 Drayton Gardens. And also we know that Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, who was the second devotee, we know that Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj was staying there as well, and he was focused on translating. He was focused on writing books. He translated the Bhagavad Gita into English, and he was focused on grassroots programs. Here we are. '39. So he was focused on grassroots programs. Now, in Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhava, written by Bhaktivinoda Swami, there's evidence or recorded evidence that Westerners, lots of Westerners, at least a dozen Westerners or commoners were coming to 39 Drayton Gardens regularly in 1933 to meet the devotees, to talk to the devotees. The third devotee that was living there was Samvidananda Prabhu, and he came to the UK and he was focused on writing his PhD. He did a PhD at the University of London, which was also paid for by his godbrother, Professor Sanyal Bhakti Sudhakara Prabhu. So there were, for at least a year, there was 3 devotees living here at 39 Drayton Gardens from 1933, Hridayabal Maharaj, Bhakti Pradeep Tirtha Maharaj, and Savidandana Prabhu. And then a little bit later on, Rasbihari Bhakti Jyoti moved here in January 1934. He was a brahmachari, and he was just helping around the temple with cooking, with cleaning, with helping to organise meetings and various things like that. And also, we do now know that Ernst George Schlusch came to 39 Drayton Gardens, which is still behind me there, in 1933. He was the German devotee he read a copy of Sri Krishna Chaitanya, which was also written by Professor Sanyal. Professor Sanyal, even though he never came to England, he was very effective, and he played a huge role in the growth of Krishna, in the spread of Krishna consciousness in London in the 1930s. Ernst George Schlusch, who was given the name later on as Sadandana Prabhu, and he also became Sadandana Swami later on, probably in the 1940s. He helped Bhakti Pradeep Tirtha Maharaj with the translating of the Bhagavad Gita, There's 39 Drayton Gardens behind me, of the translating of the Bhagavad Gita into English. So, as I mentioned just now, here at 39 Drayton Gardens, the first Hare Krishna temple in the UK in 1933, at least a dozen commoners, is the word that's used in the letters, at least a dozen Westerners were coming here to attend class, and some of them got initiated. There's evidence, there's information that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had at least 7 Western disciples. Most of them were Londoners from Britain. One of them was called Arnold Corbluth, who's given the name Krishna Das. He received Harinam initiation here at 39 Drayton Gardens on the 1st of October 1933. Also, another lady called Hilda Corbell received Harinam initiation in this house in 1933. In terms of Daisy Boatwell, she certainly came here. She attended programs, kirtan, she came to class, she came to talks, but we're not sure if she was actually initiated here, because she wasn't initiated until February 1937. And the last evidence of this house being in use was 1935. So it was a Hare Krishna temple for at least 2 years. Bhakti Saranga Maharaj, who came in October 1936 to the UK, we don't think that he came here at all. So here we are live at Drayton Gardens in Kensington in London, the location of the first ever Hare Krishna temple in the UK. The devotees moved in on the 12th of May, let me just get my dates correct, on the 12th of May 1933, and it was a Hare Krishna temple for at least 2 years. There was regular classes here, regular programs here. At least a dozen Westerners, commoners, were coming here to joining with kirtan, to listen to the Bhagavad Gita. And you know, we're grateful to Hridayabal Maharaj, to Bhakti Pradeep Tirtha Maharaj, to Samvidandana Prabhu, Rasbihari Prabhu, for coming here and making that sacrifice for us mere Westerners. So Britain's first Hare Krishna movement was February 1933 through to October 1937, and I'd like to think that if war hadn't broken out in 1939, things might have been different. You know, pre-war Europe was very different to 1960s Europe, 1970s Europe. You know, things were different, and obviously the West wasn't ready for Krishna consciousness, but it was finally in 1930, in 1968, when the devotees came from America. So here we are outside 39 Drayton Gardens in Kensington, the home of the first ever Hare Krishna temple in the UK.